Uganda is preparing the ground to start production of its oil and gas resources by mid-2025. The project has been widely criticized for its possible environmental and climate change risks. This has forced major financial institutions to withdraw funding from the project. But Uganda insists, with or without banks, the project will proceed with financing from other sources.
First of all, I feel bad that the financing institutions can choose to pull out at this stage. And secondly, I have confidence that we shall get the money anyway. We shall get the money for this project. And we are going on. We are going ahead with our plan because this is not a project to be abandoned.
Uganda is planning to build a $5 billion East African crude oil pipeline running from its oil fields in western Uganda to the Indian Ocean port of Tanga in Tanzania. The government says it's in talks with friends like China and the oil companies operating in the country to take up the largest share of financing of the pipeline. Officials from the East African regional states are also using this petroleum conference in Kampala to discuss ways to raise money for the project, which is expected to address energy poverty across the bloc.
Today, our region is up to 70% on biomass, which does not help our forest because biomass is basically cutting the forest to fire our homes. And if we can leverage on the gas that is within the region, we can be able to go into clean cooking, support the environmental challenges with the big talk on climate change.
Uganda's crude oil reserves are estimated at 6.5 billion barrels, of which 1.4 barrels are recoverable. The government says part of this oil will be produced locally through the planned $4 billion refinery project, which is expected to take off after the announcement of a final investment decision at the end of June this year. Delegates from all the 7 East African countries are meeting here to promote the region's petroleum potential and investment opportunities. But they are also discussing ways in which the exploitation of the oil and gas resources can help address the current energy crisis in the region. Some energy experts suggest the East African community governments should also use this opportunity to include young people in the exploitation and development of the region's oil and gas resources.
You're not going to have a sustainable industry if these young people are not driving the force, if women are not leading the corporate environment, and if we're not changing how private sector looks at women in the industry. When our industry still suffers from that legacy of women being the last to get hired and the first to get fired, we have to change this and take that leading role. That commitment is real.
The governments in East Africa believe the discovery of large quantities of oil in Uganda and Kenya, plus gas in Tanzania, presents prospects for economic growth for the region and beyond. Michael Balekesi, GTN, Kampala, Uganda.